Welcome to Consciousness Unfiltered. Get ready for a very different, vulnerable, and uncensored conversation with Dr. Anthony Mattis and his amazing guests. They'll be sharing the powerful tools of Access Consciousness that have helped thousands of people all over the world to create change in every area of their lives.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Consciousness Unfiltered. I am Dr. Anthony Mattis, and I will be sharing some of the tools of Access Consciousness that were created by the founder, Gary Douglas, and co-creator, Dr. Dane here. So today's topic of discussion is space of possibilities. What does that actually mean? Well, a lot of times, as an Access Consciousness facilitator, or even in the 20 some odd years I practiced as a chiropractor, people come to you because they want you to fix their problems. It's like I have a problem with depression. I have a problem with, my body. I have a problem with my relationships. I have a problem with money. So, what tools can you give me? What answers can you give me to actually fix my problems and make my life better? Well, and as a healer for years and years and years and years, I would get caught up in that because I'm like, hey, wait, I decided to become a healer or a facilitator or a life coach or whatever the case may be. And I got into the profession because I wanted to help people, right? So if they came with a particular issue and I had the tools that can help them to fix it, then that was my job. And so, but what I learned over the years is that, first of all, what people say and what people do or be and do are two different things. And a lot of times when people come to resolve their issues, don't necessarily really want to resolve their issues. It's actually having their issues is more valuable to them than actually changing them. And I'll never forget the very first Access Consciousness Foundation class, I took 9 years ago. And I remember just weeping, crying, because I was just so burnt out with being a healer. I was tired of trying to fix people. It was exhausting to see what was possible for people to choose, and people just had no interest. Now, part of the reason why that it was a struggle for me is because I wasn't an allowance for what people were able and willing to receive. I had like zero allowance for it, because if I see that you have this potential or you have this possibility right in front of you that can change your life and create the life that you desire, and you're not choosing it, I tend to get frustrated, right? Instead of just being like, oh, okay, it's just that person's choice. My first wife committed suicide. I saw her struggle with mental illness. I saw her go from being totally sane to insane. Didn't happen overnight, but you could see where the symptoms would actually start creeping in. And that's sort of like a whole topic for another day, as to, knowing what I know now, what was actually going on in her universe back then. But at that time, I didn't have the tools of Access Consciousness. So I just sort of be at the effect of all the, I guess, neurotransmitters, so to speak, and flying around in her brain. Anyway, nevertheless, so when I took the first foundation class, I remember just crying because I'm like, I'm just tired of fixing people. I'm done. And I'll never forget the facilitators like, what if you didn't have to fix anybody ever again? And what if it wasn't about fixing anyone or anybody, including yourself? But what if it was more about creating the space of possibilities? And I know that sounds very like esoteric or very just ambiguous and all that, but it's actually not. It really is that. It is like, because what the space of possibilities is it like, so whatever you think your problem is or your problems are, those are all solid. Those all feel very real, very true. Everywhere you turn, there's that problem, right? No matter what direction you're looking at the world from, no matter what, colored glasses you're viewing the world through, right? Everywhere you look, there's that problem, or there's your past, or there's where you lost the money, or you got the divorce, or you had that accident, whatever the case may be. It's like all those things are right there. No matter what you do, what you choose, those things are like, they're sort of like part of the cesspool in which you continue to swim in. And then as a practitioner, I would try to fix those. I try to go into that person's cesspool and pull out those things. And then what people ended up doing is like, what are you doing? Why are you taking away my problem? Who the hell are you? Stop trying to fix me. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Didn't you just ask for help? So, but what I learned was like, what if, the tools of access consciousness, or really any healing modality for that matter, but I didn't really find it in any of the other healing modalities, to be honest with you, but I found it in access. It's like, what if it's not about fixing your problem, fixing your disease, fixing your money issues, but what if it's about getting you out of that cesspool in which everywhere you look, there's that floating piece of shit called your life experiences. Okay. And there's many of those, right? Floating around. And what the tools of access consciousness actually create, if you're willing to receive them, that's a key factor too, is it gets you out of that cesspool, and it almost like drops you right into the sea of infinite possibilities, the space of possibilities. Now, that could be a very uncomfortable space, right? Some people are like, what? No, that would be awesome. That'd be great. I don't have to swim in my cesspool anymore. Yeah, but hold your horses for a minute. It's like when you finally lose the grief of your limitations, so to speak, people kind of freak out. When people are dropped in that middle of the ocean and there's no land in sight, not even that familiar floating piece of poop that you were so used to in your cesspool, people freak out because they're like, oh my God, what do I choose? What do I base my future on? There's nothing around me that represents my past mistakes, my past sorrows, my past failures, whatever the case may be. But that's the space that you want to be in so that you can actually be in the question as a source for creating your future or a different possibility. That is the space of possibility. So it's like when someone says, hey, can you fix this? And I'm like, my job's not to fix anything. But what I can do is invite you to possibilities. I can invite you to a space where whatever those limitations were, whatever those past failures were, whatever the past mistakes, as you would call them, because what if every choice you make creates an awareness? What if there are no mistakes? What if there are no failures? At the end of the day, what awarenesses did you get from those choices? Okay. And that's worth its pricing, pricing gold right there. So the space of possibilities is this space in which you begin to say, hey, what future would I really like to create? What would I like to have as my future? And when you start to perceive the energy of that, not necessarily the vision, but more like an energy, it's sort of like a sense. Then you could ask, what choices can I make today that sort of like match that energy and that future I would like to create right away? So what choices so just perceive that for a minute. Let's just for one quick second, pretend like you're not in that cesspool called your life as you know it right now, right? Then someone comes along and all of a sudden they take you from that cesspool and they drop you in the middle of the ocean. Okay. So basically there's no past, there's no present, there's no future. There's just infinite space. And what a lot of people do is they do freak out, right? Because they're like, oh my God, let me have a cesspool back. At least I'm familiar with stuff. right? But that's the thing that you've been asking for. You've been asking for, like, from your point of view, like, get rid of my problem. But what happens is when you're in the space of possibilities, your problems become insignificant. They don't mean anything anymore. They're meaningless. They have no value. They have no stronghold over you. So what questions, what choices can I make today to actualize that future right away? And you got to give it time. You got to give the universe time to rearrange itself for you. And if you stay in the question, it will move mountains for you. So the invitation with the tools of access consciousness is to invite you to a space of possibilities. So if you want a better relationship, space of possibilities. Want more money? Space of possibilities. Better sex? Space of possibilities. Better health? Space of possibilities. So it's like, what if there were no problems to fix? But it's like, what questions can you ask today to create that space of possibility for you right away? And then you can be that artist that has a blank canvas every day. Every day, that canvas is blank. And you are the artist of your own life. And through question, choice, possibility, and contribution, you begin to allow the universe to contribute to you in all sorts of ways, because you're finally functioning from your barriers down, total vulnerability, and you're willing to receive all energies that are available to you. And as you receive all these energies, you could actually create the life that you desire. So by the end of that particular day, so to speak, as an artist, you've just created your whole life, right? And guess what? The next day you get to start over. And the next day you get to start over. And the next day you get to start over. And you've heard me say in other podcasts, live your life in 10-second increments. You live your life in 10-second increments. Why? Because it gets you out of the past. It stops you from worrying about the future. It gets you in the present moment. So it's like, what would you like to choose? And every choice you make today creates your future tomorrow. So the invitation to you and for you is not to fix your problems, but it's to invite you to the space of possibility so that you can actually create the life that you desire, a life that works for you, a life that works for your family. And hopefully it contributes to the rest of the world. And don't underestimate the power of your choices and how that can contribute to the rest of the planet. Cool. So instead of trying to fix your problems, what would it create for you to actually open yourselves up to a space of possibilities? How do you do it? How do you get there? Find someone, a bars, access consciousness bars facilitator somewhere near you. Go to www.accessconsciousness.com. There's bars facilitators all over the world. Start receiving access to bars, and that will begin to create some space for you. Look for Access Consciousness 3-day body facilitators. I happen to be one of those. You can check out my website at www.dranthonymattis.com, and you can check out ASB sessions. Again, it's just designed to invite you to a space of possibilities where you start to access more of you, your being. And then you become an example for your children. You become an example for your family, whether they follow or not. Doesn't matter. You show them what's possible. Receive the body processes. Use the clearing tools. Find a bars practitioner. Start receiving the bars. Learn how to do the bars. Give it to your family. Gift it to your family. Let your family gift it to you. It's such a gift to have that available to you for your home, for your household. So what would that create for your life and living to be in a space of infinite possibilities? Just a choice. Hope to see you in person someday soon. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. If this conversation has been a contribution to you, please share, subscribe, or leave a review. For more about Anthony, please come visit drAnthonymattis.com. And if you'd like to know more about the amazing tools of Access Consciousness, you can go to www.accessconsciousness.com.